Hey, welcome back. This is episode 7. We're going to be flying a police-skinned Comet all day today. And I've had just an awesome week in faction warfare. Just gotten tons of fights, tons of good fights. A couple 2v1s. Yeah, just good stuff all around. I kind of variate between a rail fit and a blaster fit. I still can't decide which one I like better. I definitely like the DPS of the blasters, but it can get you in trouble trying to close the gap, so to speak, trying to get into range. Null definitely helps, but it's just not the same as, being within 2 or 3 kilometers and doing that full DPS. Because if you got to use Null, then you probably should have just fit up rails, and that can be kind of a pain. On this fight, I took down that Kestrel super easy. It turns out he was active tanked. So I kind of just shredded through him. And now it's me just trying to chase down this Executioner. And one of the things that I can say about that is manual piloting. It's probably the only way I would have caught him. He's more agile than me, and, he can probably line up his overheat cycles to make it so that I never catch up to him, but I'm able to kind of cut some of the distance by cutting him off using manual piloting. In other words, just flying where I think he's going to be, not flying, just hitting approach. And then, overheating, and luckily my afterburner burned out and not my MWD, which allowed me to catch him. And the other thing, too, is not applying your full DPS until you have him tackled, especially someone who's kiting you. Number one, for guns that use cap, it'll, keep a little bit more cap for you to run your MWD, but also, if he's not tackled and he's taking tons of damage, he's just going to warp off, so. Just a little tidbit. I don't know if that's going to be super helpful, but it's something that I do just to, secure a couple frags here and there. This next fight's against a Tormentor. Can't remember what I was doing. I was probably watching Netflix or something. He came into this site that I was AFK capping, and again, now I'm actually fit with blasters, and the big problem again is that he's faster than me. I don't have a web because I'm dual prop, which I absolutely love dual prop. I don't know that I'll ever go back to doing an afterburner and a web. I just love having an MWD. Overheated, you're up to like 46 or 4.6k a second, so you can, tackle Tristans, and you can get on top of slicers and those fast kitey ships. Especially, this is kind of a cheeky thing to do, but start out the fight using your afterburner and being slow, and they might just hit orbit on you. They might not anticipate you going from 1.3 kilometers a second up to 4.6. And having that super fast burst and speed is what's going to allow you to catch people. It's not so much your top speed, it's being able to get to that speed without them reacting to it. And then this next fight is a Corax, and I'm back on rails now. And because I have that extra range and it's a Corax, typically what you'd see with Coraxes is like a scram web and then rockets. So instead of like diving in, since I have rails, I put my drones on him and I want to see what kind of weapon system he has, if he has rockets or if he has light missiles. It turns out that he has light missiles, and I know that because he has light missiles, his DPS is going to be pretty small. So I just dive right in and switch back to the appropriate ammo and burn him down quick. But there's something to be said about kind of testing the waters, dipping your toe in, kind of figuring out what you're getting into before you fully commit. You may miss out on getting tackle on some things because they're just going to run away right away. But especially for ships that are kind of designed to kill your ship class, like, generally speaking, at least in my opinion, a pretty good fit Corax should be able to just destroy a Comet. So don't, figure out which way he's fit before you run in, because if he was, scram web rocket fit, that means that his range is going to be pretty low. And so I can sit out there outside of his range, 20 kilometers or whatever, while he's trying to get tackle on me, and I can just do free damage. My drones are in there chipping away at his shields, and I have longer range guns, so I can, keep plinking away, and then dive in and get the tackle when the time is right. But that's not how it turns out to be, and I just feel like the light missile fit Corax is just not a very strong fit. Let me be able to take him down pretty easily. This next fight, actually these next two fights, I had to look down at my cheat sheet. These next two fights is against an Atron, and to be fair, an Atron versus a Comet is not really a good matching. But it did show two separate aspects of maybe the strengths of the Atron, and the one is to get under guns. Even though I'm using blasters, which have insanely good tracking, even at this close range, I'm missing him. So instead of hitting approach, or instead of hitting keep at range, or instead of hitting, orbit or anything like that, what I'm doing is I'm flying manually, and what I want is right there, you can see it, to fly next to him, right? So when you guys are flying parallel to each other, his transversal is going to go absolutely down to 0, and his angular velocity is going to do the same. And so my guns don't have to move to track him because we're flying abreast to each other. So if you start flying in one direction, even if you don't know where his orbit is and where he's going to end up in that orbit, eventually he's going to have to try to catch up and kind of make back that headway that you're flying in, and it's going to slow that transversal down way slower, and that's going to allow you, even with a slower ship and worse tracking, to get some good hits on him. This next fight, he does a completely different tactic, and that is he does the scram kiting thing. He's faster than me, and he's got a web, and I don't have a web because, again, I'm dual prop fit. And so he's sitting out, just outside of my blaster range, where I'm not really getting any kind of decent hits, and he's killing my drones and trying to eliminate them while I'm working on just catching up and applying some DPS to him. I don't really know, I mean, I get it why he would go after drones, just to eliminate the DPS and then have me tackled. But again, I think it just comes down to the fact that his hull is just not one that's capable of outflying my hull in the ranges that we have, because he's probably using blasters, which I think he is. He's using blasters. I'm using blasters. I have extra slots to fit extra tank. I've got much more buffer than he does. So he's kind of fighting a losing battle. And again, he probably could kill comets that were, like, if it was a rail comet going up against him and he could get under the tracking and kill the drones, I'm sure he would come out with a win there. But this is why I absolutely love the blaster Comet, especially the dual prop blaster Comet, because it allows you to survive in a lot of situations where you might wouldn't. And then this last one is another Atron and a slasher. It's another 2v1, but luckily for me, it doesn't end up like, it's more, they kind of staggered their warp ends, so I'm able to kill each one before the other one gets on grid, which allows me to stay alive, because if they both would have teamed up on me at the same time, then I definitely would have went down. Because the slasher has a newt fit, and I have a little bit of trouble tracking again, so again, I'm manually piloting to fly away from him to get him to chase me, to slow his transversal down, or to fly up along next to me, fly parallel to me, and I'm able to take him down pretty quickly before his buddy in the slasher comes back. And the slasher, I think, will be good. Right now it's not, because you can't fit arties, but artillery with a web or two is going to be a really nice fit for those slashers. Unfortunately, he's got an autocannon one, and he has to get in real close and put tackle on me and try to mitigate some of my my DPS by getting underneath my guns. And I think both of the people that I just fought here anticipated me being blaster fit, or I'm sorry, being rail fit and not blaster fit, which ends up getting them zonked down and ends up putting more green on my kill board. Anyway, that's all I got. I'm doing a little bit more stuff in cruisers, so I'm looking forward to putting up a video with that. That's super hard, but bear with me, it'll be up eventually. And yeah, hope you guys have a great day. We'll see you out there.